Since February 2022, the United States has provided Ukraine with over $65 billion in military equipment, the largest single-country military aid program of the 21st century. Every category of weapon, from infantry rifles to long-range missile systems, has been delivered, tested, and in many cases destroyed in combat. Today, Iron Protocol covers every American weapon system sent to Ukraine. We start with anti-armor weapons, the category that defined the war's opening phase. The FGM-148 Javelin, America's man-portable fire-and-forget anti-tank missile, became the symbol of Ukrainian resistance in the war's first weeks. It uses an infrared seeker to lock onto a target before launch and attacks from a steep top-down angle, defeating the thinner roof armor of even the most modern Russian tanks. The United States has supplied over 10,000 Javelins to Ukraine, more than any other single anti-tank weapon system in the war. Then, the FGM-172 SRAW. The Predator short-range assault weapon was developed for the U.S. Marine Corps and supplied to Ukraine to engage lighter armored vehicles at closer ranges than the Javelin. It uses an inertial guidance system with a top-attack flight profile and a tandem warhead capable of defeating reactive armor. The U.S. transferred several hundred units from existing Marine Corps inventory before the program was retired. Now, the M141 SMAW-D. The shoulder-launched multi-purpose assault weapon disposable variant is a single-use launcher firing a thermobaric warhead, designed for engaging structures, bunkers, and infantry in cover. Ukraine has used it extensively in urban combat in Bakhmut, Avdiivka, and other contested cities. Its thermobaric warhead generates a pressure wave that defeats targets protected by walls or trench systems. Up next, the M72 Law. The light anti-armor weapon, a Vietnam-era disposable rocket launcher, remains in production and was supplied to Ukraine in large numbers as a low-cost, light anti-armor option. It is effective against light vehicles, fortifications, and personnel in cover, but lacks the warhead power to defeat modern composite tank armor. Tens of thousands have been transferred to Ukrainian forces since 2022. Next on the list, artillery and rocket systems. The M142 HIMARS. The high-mobility artillery rocket system became one of the most strategically significant weapons of the entire war when it arrived in Ukraine in June 2022. It fires GPS-guided GMLRS rockets to ranges of 80 kilometers with sub-5-meter accuracy, destroying Russian ammunition depots, command posts, and bridges deep behind the front line. Russia has dedicated significant resources to hunting HIMARS launchers with Lancet drones, confirming kills of several units, but failing to disrupt their operational tempo. Then, the M270 MLRS. The tracked equivalent of HIMARS carries 12 rockets per vehicle rather than 6, doubling the salvo weight of fire from a single launch position. The United Kingdom and Germany operate it and supplied it to Ukraine alongside U.S.-provided HIMARS units. The M270 has been documented engaging the same target categories as HIMARS, primarily ammunition depots, command nodes, and logistics infrastructure. Now, the ATACMS. The Army Tactical Missile System extends HIMARS' strike range from 80 kilometers to over 300 kilometers, putting Russian airfields, headquarters, and supply hubs deep in occupied territory within reach. The Biden administration authorized ATACMS' transfer to Ukraine in October 2023, a decision delayed for over a year due to escalation concerns. Ukraine has used ATACMS strikes against Russian helicopter bases in Crimea and rear-area logistics hubs with confirmed visual evidence of significant damage. Up next, the M777 howitzer. The lightweight 155mm towed howitzer, weighing just 4,200 kilograms, allowed Ukraine to rapidly relocate artillery between firing positions to avoid Russian counter-battery fire. The United States supplied over 160 M777s with hundreds of thousands of 155mm shells. The M777 became Ukraine's primary divisional artillery piece throughout 2022 and 2023, before NATO 155mm shell production constraints forced rationing. The next one, the M109 Paladin. The self-propelled 155mm howitzer is the tracked equivalent of the M777, carrying its gun in an armored turret on a Bradley-derived chassis. The U.S. transferred 36 M109A6 Paladins to Ukraine alongside supporting ammunition resupply vehicles. Ukraine's mechanized artillery brigades use them in shoot-and-scoot tactics, specifically developed to defeat Russian counter-battery radar. Continuing with air defense systems, the MIM-104 Patriot. The Patriot, PAC-3, is the most strategically significant air defense system supplied to Ukraine, capable of intercepting tactical ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and aircraft at ranges up to 100 kilometers. It is the primary defense against Russian Iskander and Kinzhal missile attacks on Ukrainian cities and infrastructure. In May 2023, Ukrainian Patriots reportedly intercepted a Russian Kinzhal hypersonic missile, the first confirmed shoot-down of a weapon Russia had publicly described as uninterceptable. Then, the NASAMS, the National Advanced Surface-to-Air Missile System, jointly developed with Norway and using the AIM-120 AMRAAM air-to-air missile in a ground-launched configuration, provides medium-range air defense across Ukrainian cities. The U.S. transferred multiple NASAMS batteries, which have been credited with intercept rates above 90% against Russian cruise missiles and Shahed drones. NASAMS protects Kyiv as part of the city's layered air defense architecture. Now, the FIM-92 Stinger. The shoulder-fired, infrared-guided, man-portable air defense missile became Ukraine's primary defense against Russian helicopters and low-flying aircraft in the war's opening months. The United States supplied over 1,400 Stingers from existing inventory, a stockpile so depleted that Raytheon had to restart the production line. Stingers have been confirmed against Russian Ka-52, Mi-24, and Mi-8 helicopters across multiple sectors of the front. Moving on to armored vehicles. The M1A1 Abrams. The United States transferred 31 M1A1 Abrams main battle tanks to Ukraine in 2023, a politically significant decision that broke the unofficial taboo against supplying main battle tanks. The M1A1 variant uses depleted uranium armor and the M256-100 20mm smoothbore gun. At least 5 have been confirmed destroyed in combat, the first confirmed Abrams losses to enemy action in the platform's history. The next one, the M2 Bradley. The infantry fighting vehicle has been transferred to Ukraine in large numbers, over 300 units across multiple aid packages. Its 25mm cannon and TOW anti-tank missiles make it the most heavily armed Western IFV in Ukrainian service. Bradleys have been documented engaging and destroying Russian T-90M main battle tanks, embarrassing demonstrations of an IFV defeating a tank with autocannon fire to weak points. Then, the M113 APC. The Cold War-era aluminum-hulled armored personnel carrier has been supplied in significant numbers by multiple NATO donors, including the United States. Ukraine uses them for casualty evacuation, troop movement in lower threat sectors, and as command vehicles. Their light armor makes them vulnerable to modern threats, but their numerical availability allows Ukraine to keep mechanized formations operational despite losses. Up next, the M2 Stryker. The 8-wheeled armored vehicle was transferred to Ukraine in 90 vehicle quantities to equip mechanized brigades operating in sectors where wheeled mobility is more useful than tracked. Strykers carry 9 infantry soldiers and provide protection against small arms and shell fragments. Several Strykers have been documented destroyed by Lancet loitering munitions in confirmed combat footage. Now looking at infantry weapons and small arms. The M16A4 and M4 carbine. The United States has supplied tens of thousands of M16 and M4 platform rifles to Ukrainian forces, primarily for territorial defense units and special operations rather than line infantry. Standard infantry continues to use Soviet-pattern 5.45mm rifles due to ammunition compatibility with the existing supply chain. The M4 in particular has become the standard rifle of Ukrainian special operations units. Then, the M2.50 caliber. The Browning M2 heavy machine gun, in service since 1933, was supplied in large numbers for fixed defensive positions, vehicle mounts, and anti-drone use. Ukraine has documented M2 gunners successfully engaging Russian FPV drones. The .50 caliber's range and rate of fire make it one of the few infantry weapons effective against attacking drones. Tens of thousands of M2s have been transferred along with ammunition stockpiles. Now, the M240. The 7.62 mm general-purpose machine gun forms the backbone of Western infantry suppression and was supplied to Ukraine in substantial numbers. It is operated alongside Soviet-pattern PKM machine guns at platoon and company level. The M240's reliability and accuracy have made it preferred by Ukrainian assault units over older Soviet equivalents wherever ammunition supply permits. Subscribe to Iron Protocol for complete modern warfare system breakdowns.